Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another Steven Universe video. And in this time, we'll be taking a look at the Steven Universe movie. Which, wow, this came fast. Like, I knew it was September sometime, but, like, I didn't think it was the second day of September. But here we are, and you know what? This movie is great, man. I loved it. It was so well done. It's everything I wanted, really, and then some. Because if you saw at the end of season 5, I was kind of disappointed, you know? Like, it just kind of ended. It went too fast. I had my problems. And I was just, one of my big things I just wanted, like, what happened after Happily Ever After. Just one more episode. And that's exactly what we got here. And I loved it. Is it perfect? No, but nothing truly is. And just to give, like, we're gonna go big into spoilers. I'm basically gonna go over the movie in the traditional sense. This isn't gonna be like one of my traditional reviews where we go by it scene by scene, just because this is so long and I don't have the time anymore. I mean, I still haven't finished Star. I still haven't even gotten the last Infinity Train review out. But yeah, just quick spoiler-free thoughts. It's good. It's what I wanted. The story is really good. Spinel, the new character, is really well done. I love her. The music, I have complicated feelings on the music. It's good, but I think I'm going to need to listen to it a few more times. Like, I'm just going to have to kind of, like, sit down and listen to the soundtrack to really, like, get into it. But I'll admit it is good. This is exactly what I wanted. And hey, we're getting another season, so I don't know. I don't know if we need another season. I don't know. But yeah, it's really good. Go watch it. And I'm gonna go bitch about it here now for like 20 minutes after this. Well, you know, it's funny. That was my original plan, but then as I started taking notes for all of this, there's a lot less bitching than I expected. The one thing I do want to talk about, though, is I was thinking about this. Could you watch this movie having never seen the TV show? Because I know that's kind of like how some of these shows do movies. Teen Titans Go to the movies was structured like that. You never had to watch the TV show. Not like the TV show really had any substance to it. But right, could you, if you've never seen the show, could you watch this movie? Yes, there is more than enough background here where it gives you all the information you need to know to get into this. Do I still recommend watching the show first? Yeah, it's really good, and the movie kind of spoils the entire show in the first minute. With that being said, though, I am also of the mentality that you can totally have everything spoiled for you and still enjoy something. The example I personally use is the Adventure Zone, which was spoiled to me. The entire thing was spoiled to me, or at least balance was. And then I went and listened to it, and I still loved it, even though I knew all, like, the big plot points that were going to happen. So yes, you could totally watch this without having seen the show, but watch the show. It's really good. The movie's also, I mean, I'm assuming if you're already a fan of the show, you're already going to watch the movie, or you've already seen the movie, which, hey, that's what you're here for, all the spoiler talk. Yeah, God. But yeah, that's kind of everything I wanted to say. Just go see it. We're going to get into spoilers here in a second, so yeah, spoilers. So we started off, this is what happens after Happily Ever After. It's been, oh God, has it been 2 or 4 years? Steven is 16 now. I want to say he was 14 previously. I don't honestly remember. God, oh God, that's gonna bite me in the ass. Don't at me. It's been a time skip. It's been a time skip of some time, which is exactly what I wanted. Right in this opening, it's exactly what I wanted. I wanted that. What happens after Happily Ever After? And here it is, giving it to us. Because this movie, in a sense, is just a microcosm of Steven Universe. At the end, he'll point this out. He'll be like, oh, I've done this all before. Why isn't this working? This entire movie is like... And this is how most TV shows that become movies work, where they just take the essence of the TV show and distill it into, like, one episode. That's usually kind of how TV show movies work. And the Steven Universe is no difference. This is the show distilled into one episode. So yeah, it's everything I wanted, man. I was so excited to get into it. And luckily, I had actually avoided most of the trailers. I think I saw, like, the Comic-Con one. But even still going into this, I knew nothing. So I was genuinely surprised the whole way through. Steven's voice, because he's grown up, it has changed a little bit. It was immediately noticeable. And yeah, no, I'm fine. It's like I said, it makes sense. And yeah, it's really cool that they actually had that he's right. You can tell he's grown up in multiple ways. Admittedly, looking at his character, there were some times now that Steven has a neck, there were moments where like the neck kind of felt off. But no, for the most part, everything about the time skip is handled really well. As Steven's tried to free the Empire, how the diamonds react to him, how they're still holding on. It's everything I wanted. So we start off, we get this musical number. I don't remember any of the song's name, but it's Here We Are in the Future, and it goes through and we spend time with each one of the crystal gems. We spend time with Pearl, we spend time with Garnet. We go to New Homeworld and spend time with Amethyst, and we get each one of their like recounts of their backstory. And at first I was like, again, it was that thing I was talking about a minute ago, like, could you watch this movie without having seen the show? And at first, that's what I thought this was doing, where it's like, oh, here are all of the characters' backstories in case you've never seen the show. And I was like, I don't really like that. Right? Why do we need to know their backstories again? And then I realized that's kind of the whole point. It's actually very clever in that the entire story is based around like them losing their memories and Steven having to help them get their memories back. So it's important that you know their backstory. And while yes, it does go on a little long, you still need it because it's reestablishing the characters in the world even after the time skip. It's actually very clever, and originally I was very negative on it. But that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. But yeah, so how this works is the new villain Spinel shows up, who I'll talk about here in like a few minutes. She's really good, but she comes in, she injects the ground with this giant gem injector head dealy, and then she attacks the crystal gems. We'll talk about the villain song in a little bit. I'm just gonna do a giant like part on Spinel. And then she attacks them. She has this like scythe, which is a really cool weapon. I like how she fights. I like her weapon. We'll talk about the problem with it at the very end. But it she poofs all of them, Steven poofs her, and it resets all of the crystal gems to their default state. It's really clever. Like, this is a great direction to take the movie, because now Steven eventually realizes that he has to, like, relive some of the, like, most important moments, some of the best episodes of the show, and they basically do recreate some of the best episodes. They recreate, we start off with Garnet, and we recreate the answer, but this time we do a total reversal, whereas Ruby saved Sapphire. This time, Sapphire saves Ruby? Yeah, that's kind of clever. That's really clever. And then we go into the song, and the song's good. Again, we'll talk about the music at the end. I'm mixed on the music. I just saying that, I'm mixed on the music. But we also in this moment, we get a song between Bismuth and Steven. And this is, I'm kind of mixed on the music, but like, I should like it, and I know I will like it, because this uses one of my favorite musical tropes of duality, where you have one person, Steven in this case, singing like negative and how everything sucks, here we are in the future, and then you have Bismuth singing about, no, everything's gonna be okay, everything can be great again. That's really clever, and I love duality in music, but I don't love this as much as I do, but I know I will. But yeah, so they fix Garnet, but it doesn't actually, they get Garnet to fuse, but it doesn't actually fix Garnet, you know? Which I actually thought that was very smart, of showing that, hey, while this might work, it also doesn't work. And then also the weird Spinel, like, I like how she's both like, she's the villain, right? But she's also kind of inadvertently helping them. But she's clearly got those, like, more negative tendencies. Like, she accidentally helps by dropping, like, inadvertently dropping the anvil. But she's still, like, she wants to help. Resetting Spinel was very clever. Instead of, like, having her as, like, this looming threat off sitting on top of her crystal, just waiting for Steven to arrive. It was very well done to have her just with him, getting to know what she used to be, so that when we eventually get the reversal, it makes complete sense. You get her whole backstory. So next they head off and they go find Amethyst, and they find her in Medalia's garage, and then they go off on their little adventure as Steven's trying to help Amethyst recount what Amethyst is. And they kind of, at the end, they recreate On the Run, which, like I was saying, the previous scene just recreated the answer. Now they're going to recreate On the Run. Very clever. Just reliving some of the best episodes. Most of them from seasons 1 and 2. This is an entire movie as a love letter to the show. And yeah, this lives up. We get this whole Amethyst moment. They go to the kindergarten, they're on the train, and hey, Amethyst is back. I've always felt like Steven and Amethyst kind of have the closest connection. I know it's the mom squad and all that, but I'll always say Steven and Amethyst kind of remind me of like brother and sister, and that still holds true in this, and that's why I like how they do Amethyst first. Because of that it's a different style of connection, which is why she's, like, even getting Garnet to fuse doesn't initially work. They have to do more, as we'll see later on. But yeah, the Amethyst bit is great, especially because On the Run's one of my favorite episodes. And then, so next, they realize that, hey, if we're gonna stop the drill injector, we have to fix Pearl, because Pearl knows who Spinel is. So this entire time, Pearl has been is serving Greg, which is really funny. That's, again, it's a great reversal. So now they want Pearl to rebel, so they go to Sadie Killers and the Suspect. We get another song. I've said this before. I just don't care for Sadie Killers and the Suspects. It's just, it never did it for me. I think I said that in the... Like, it's a neat idea, but it never actually, like, did anything for me. I think I said that during the reviews of the show. And yeah, that's still kind of true here, but I like the idea of trying to use music to get her to rebel. And then they realize the most important part is that Rose goes away, so now they have to make Greg go away. And the idea is for Steve and Greg to fuse. Holy shit. I did not see that coming. And it's a great moment. The song's great. I like the song. There's a few songs. While I'm iffy on a lot of the music, there are 2 or 3 songs I really do like. And this was one of them. The Greg Steven fusion, great. I love the design. It was a great design. I love the whole flying around part as, like, it keeps getting bigger and they go flying around, but Steven's clearly struggling to keep up the fusion. It works so well. It's a great moment, and it gives Pearl back her memory as everyone's partying. Oh, God, it's great. I love this moment. It's right, because we're right around the mid-ish point, maybe a little past it, and it's exactly what you need. You got that big number, you get the rebellion back from Pearl. Oh, I love it. Oh, and then Opal shows up as well, which is also great. We don't see Opal that much, do we, nowadays? So seeing Opal in this one moment was really cool. Really cool. It also made me realize Stefani never showed up in the movie. I'm actually glad she didn't. I think that makes for a more interesting movie. That it's Steven Universe the movie, so it's Steven Universe's movie, so it entirely focuses on him. We don't even need Stefani. Right, I'm really glad they did that. I just thought of that. Of course, my one thing with the Greg Steven fusion is that there's always been this tinge that fusion is kinda sort of a sexual thing. And so this is father and son, so where does that leave us? I'm just gonna choose not to think about it. Yeah, let's just not think about that, okay? Yeah. And then we go into Spinel and we go to the garden. Let's just get into Spinel. So she shows up on her big injector head. And, oh God, who is the voice? It's Sarah Stiles? Is that it? And she does a pretty good job. But yeah, her entire design is based on like Max Gleischer early Disney animation. Which, it's a great, everything about it is great, because you see it all, like, the way she moves, it's very, like, wiggly, like the older cartoons. She's got the gloves, she's got the pointy-toed shoes. Her design, a lot of people compared her to, like, XJ9, and her powers remind me of, well, XJ9 did have stretchy arm and extendo fingers, but her powers remind me of, like, Brave and the Bold, Batman, Plastic Man. Like, she's got that very, like, Plastic Man quality to her, which I actually do like, because we've seen Garnet, like, shapeshift and whatnot a bunch of times with, like, doing the stretchy arm and extendo fingers, but I love doing an entire villain around it. Using the Max Gleischer influence is great. Spinel, all the animation on Spinel is fantastic. She gets tons of great shots, tons of great moments. The opening action scene with her where she whoops the Crystal Gem's asses, fantastic. It looks great. It's all really well done. Also, she kind of looks like a mime. Like, I saw people compare her to Mr. Mime, and they're not far off, because Spinel basically goes through all the stages of clown, except for the rodeo clown, So we get our villain song, Other Friends, and I've said before, I don't really care. This show's never really had, like, a good villain song. And I use an asterisk there because, yes, we did get What's the Use of Feeling Blue. But the thing is, What's the Use of Feeling Blue? I don't really consider it a villain song. Yes, technically it is. And yes, technically you are correct. The best kind of correct. Blah, blah, blah. But the way I've always viewed it as it's different than that, because it eventually becomes more. It's not like about the villain doing evil. It's more about the internal struggles of the villain who isn't actually a villain because she's deeply complicated. This is just a straight up villain song. We do get that deep complicated song later on with Drift Away, but for the moment, yes, this is our villain song. And yeah, I don't really care for it. I've already listened to it a few times, like outside of the movie, and it will grow on me. My big holdback is that because Spinel is based on like I said, early Disney Gleischer animation, they used like 1920s/30s electro swing, and I don't really like electro swing. It's just not my personal style of music. And I think that's what's holding me back. It's a perfect fit for the character, but it's just not my personal style. And it's also during this moment that again, going through all the stages of clowns, it was during this song that I realized she reminds me of Harley Quinn. The Batman villain. Hey, look, Batman again. Yeah, no, she reminds me of the Batman Harley Quinn. That's kind of what her, at least in this opening moment. It gets more complicated as we get later on, but in this opening scene, that's definitely what she reminds me of. But then she gets reverted back into the child, like the child at heart kind of thing. Which I love the whole heart thing. That's really clever. It's the inverted heart because she's mean. And then when she reforms, it's right side up because she's all innocent and pure. But then as she breaks down, it becomes inverted again. And then it ends inverted, showing that, yes, she has changed. It's kind of like Steven's gym, right? Where Pink's had the point, but then Rose puts it inward. It's that transition. But yeah, and then so she goes from being like the Harley Quinn, the fool is how I describe her. She's more about the art of the clownery than she is anything else. And now she's gone to like a childish clown, like a clown that a kid would want. Even though kids don't really like clowns. I didn't. And then again, Spinel joins the heroes. You see her darker moments, but eventually we get back to where I was. And she runs away. Steven finds out about the garden from Pearl, follows her, and they head to the garden. And we learn Spinel's backstory, and that what happened was Pink Diamond was finally given her colony, but she decided if she's going to have a colony, she has to grow up. So she just left Spinel in the garden to rot for 6,000 years. Yep, that's Rose Quartz. Biggest villain of the series. Still holds true. She thought she was doing something more mature, but it's... oh my god, she's still such a child. She did that like childish thing of, oh, she got a new toy, so now her old toys are babyish and she doesn't want her old toys because she's an adult and she has to pretend to be an adult. Even though, again, most people didn't really care. I mean, they already viewed her as a child anyways. It's, you know, I remember around the time of the whole Pink Diamond reveal that I remember having a discourse, let's put an argument, saying argument is too strong, about like whether or not Rose Quartz / Pink Diamond was like a hero or a villain. And yeah, okay, the discourse at that time existed, but now I don't know how people still, like, I know statistically they exist, people who defend Rose Quartz / Pink Diamond, but I have no idea who they are. She is horrible. And this is one of the worst things she's ever done. It would have been nicer to just poof Spinel. Because at least, like, there's this implied idea that poofing is kind of like a dreamlike state or may even, like, freeze their consciousness. This is way worse. But yeah, from this we go into the song Drift Away, and it's my favorite song. It pulls at the heartstrings. It's really well done. It's so just heartbreaking seeing her just waste away here as the garden wastes because, oh, Rose Quartz or Pink Diamond's an adult now. Just leaving Spinel. Oh my god. I love this song, man. This is my favorite song. I know other people are going to have other favorite songs, but this is my favorite. This is the song I absolutely loved. Oh, it's everything I wanted. And Spinel plays a great villain because, like I said, it's a microcosm of all of Rose's problems. Every horrible thing she did, whether that be to the Diamonds or Steven or Earth or anything else like that, all just is represented in Spinel. And then we get her redemption. Yeah, right after the song, Steven realizes it and is like, yes, my mom was a horrible person. And right here, little past mid-ish movie, Spinel gets redeemed. That's very clever. That's exactly what I wanted. Just, oh, that was great. Right? Just like no pretense, just immediately redeeming her. They head back to Earth. And I'm kind of disappointed, like, Steven didn't just come downstairs, because he comes downstairs with Spinel and they're all like ready to fight. I'm kind of disappointed because we've done this multiple times now with multiple characters. I'm kind of disappointed the Crystal Gems just didn't welcome her with open arms. Steven just comes down and say, hey, Spinel's redeemed, and they're all like, oh, cool. Right? Because we've done this so many times. I get why they don't, because you need the reversal here in like a minute. And I like how they actually do with the Spinel redemption. Something else I like about how her character trait is, you can tell just like, well, yes, you see she's uneasy because she was just the villain and will they trust her, but it's also visually shown to us because she's always whenever she's with Steven, well, yes, sometimes she is right next to him, she takes his hand and whatnot. For the most part, she's always just a little ways back, showing her distance, showing her hesitation. It's storytelling told naturally through the animation. Great thing. But they go back up, she turns off the drill, and then she's like, oh, good, everything's gonna, right, boom, they won the day, everything's gonna be good. And then Spinel realizes that they were just using her to turn off the drill. Because Steven didn't have a plan after that. He just wanted her to turn off the drill, and then they were going to figure out the rest. Spinel's like, no, you're just going to abandon me. Especially because Garnet pulls out the scythe on accident. Because Steven can't get rid of it. And yeah, that's really... oh, God. The turn back. So, I'd argue Spinel is like a fallen hero. Right? She was this good, nice, like childish friend who then falls because of the horrible things Rose Quartz did to her. And then she gets redeemed. And then she immediately falls again, which you could argue that she was never truly redeemed the first time. But it makes so much sense. Oh God, this is how you do Lapis's thing. Where in, not Distant Shore, where like Lapis just immediately has that turn and runs away. This one feels a lot more organic, and because it takes place over one episode, which I know some people will argue is rushed, whereas Lapis took its time, I liked this more. God, I need to stop being mean to that episode. That's such a good, God, I never did the top, God, I'm so behind on everything. But yeah, she turns back, she fully injects the injector, spreads it all around Beach City. And Steven tells the Crystal Gems, and Connie's now here, to go save the people. The people are in danger because this bioorganic poison will kill them, while Steven's going to take care of Spinel. So that's what happens. They all go run off to save the people. Okay, there are some, like I said, the music is complicated. The score, on the other hand, is fantastic. This one moment of the Jims and like Greg and Connie saving the people while Steven climbs the injector drill thingy is great. The score, most of it is told, no dialogue, just the score and the animation. Fantastic. A great moment in this show. But yeah, he climbs the thing, and Spinel admits that she wants to kill Steven. And I love, there's a great line about how, oh, you changed, and everyone's happy with your change, but I changed, and nobody likes my change. That's an amazing line. Because it works so well. Because the entire thing is about change. And we get our final battle, and it's mostly just talking. Yes, there is some fighting here, because eventually they do that trope that I am kind of mixed about, where the villain has the heroes on the rope, and then the villain says that, like, one thing that makes the hero, like, realize, oh, that's it. It's the meaning of friendship, you know? And then boom, all of a sudden the hero's able to defeat the villain. It's a trope I don't entirely love, but that's what we're going with here. And it's not bad, but I think the reason I don't mind it, at first I didn't like it, but I think what wound me up is because Steven's like, oh, change. The key thing I was missing is change that I can change. And the season 5 finale was kind of called Change Your Mind. And the song I don't really care about was also Change Your Mind. So, yes, change has been an integral part of the show. So, screw it, I'll give it to them. I didn't even talk... Garnet came back a few moments ago, and that one also kind of feels off because she realizes her key thing is truth. Which, yes, it is technically true, but the way they did it just kind of felt... I don't want to use rushed, But it just kind of felt off. And then so Spinel and Steven have their battle. And again, I like the entire time Steven's trying not to like fight Spinel, but instead talk her down, saying that, oh, the only one who can change your mind is you. And because I like this, because there's that whole thing about like, oh, this villain was bullied and now they have power and now they're going to destroy everyone. See Elon Musk. But hey, the heroes have the power of friendship. So now they're going to defeat the villain, basically just repeating the same cycle. That's kind of what this moment could have easily like fallen into, something like that, which we'll get to my like complication with everything. But I like in this moment, Steven's not trying to fight back. It's up to Spinel to change her mind, and as she's beating on Steven, she realizes, oh, what have I done? What am I doing? As the injector's about to explode. It did kind of feel off where she's just being on him, and then she's like, oh no, what have I done? It felt very like quick, but that's because it's all internal. Steven says Spinel has to change her own mind, and she does. So while it felt a little rushed at first, it does actually add up. And yeah, and then we go into the end. So the injector's destroyed, Beach City is destroyed, and then the diamonds show up and they're like, hey, guess what? We've decided to come live with you, Steven. Which I would think that would be the setup for the next season, right? The diamonds on Earth, because that is something I did want. But that's not going to happen because they see Spinel and they remember Spinel. And now I've talked before about how she's gone through the phases of clown. She's now at her final phase, the jester. The noble clown who works for the king/queen and respects the authority and all that. Because she makes the joke and Yellow Diamond likes the joke. She's become the jester. And yeah, it actually makes a lot of sense because at the beginning we get the song... I Want to Adore You, is that what it's called? It's okay. And yeah, we get that they want to adore Steven because Steven reminds them of Pink and all that jazz, but again, the diamonds are still complicated. But Spinel comes in and, hey, she's a lot like Pink, and she just wants people to adore and love her. She even says in Drift Away that she just wants to make them smile. But yeah, so it makes completely logical sense that in the scene after this, Spinel runs away with the diamonds. Because the diamonds don't actually want to live on Earth. They just want Steven and their pink diamond stand-in. And hey, Spinel can do that, so she's just going to fill that place. Yeah, no, that makes sense. It is kind of sort of selfish, but I mean, they're Queen God Emperor, so they can do whatever they want, and this wasn't their movie, so yeah, okay, fine. It can be considered kind of sort of maybe a little problematic. Yeah, and also, like I said, I like that the heart, when after this and she realizes her problems and all that, the heart doesn't invert back up. She's still changed, the heart's still down. I'm glad they didn't change it back. It's very important to the character. And then, yeah, so, and that's where the movie ends. And we get this one little, like, wrap up on the staircase, and hey, all's well that ends well. They're able to put back Beach City in a matter of months, which makes me ask the question, I thought the bio-goo stuff was supposed to destroy the planet, and we see Spinel inject it all. Did that not destroy the planet? Right, like, I destroyed Beach City, but, like, shouldn't it have destroyed everything? But, hey, it didn't. Fine, it's a movie. We get our happy ending. I'm glad we got our happy ending. That's the end, and, like I said, I love it. I do have some flaws, though. The whole bio-goo stuff I just talked about. The, scythe, while a really cool weapon, the whole purpose of the scythe is to, like, reset gems to their factory setting. Why wasn't that at bigger use in the war? Right? Like, wouldn't that have come into, like, greater play? Like, why shatter a gem when you can just, like, factory reset them? I know ideals of rebellion could be laid in the heart and whatnot. But you see where I'm coming? I mean, it's a cool idea for a weapon. And then there's time frame stuff, because when Spinel's there, she's there for 6,000 years, and then she gets the message from Steven, and then, like, the next day, at least the way the movie presented it, the next day she shows up with her injector. Where did her injector come from? where did the biofuel come from, right? Or the bio poison and all that jazz. None of that's explained. Just all of a sudden, it's like she sees the message, and then the next day she has all this stuff. Which makes me think like she stole it or something, but it has her heart on it. So I have to assume she like made it. I don't know. Some of the stuff on the timeline just doesn't add up for me personally. And then there's Spinel. Okay, so Spinel, my immediate thought with this is Spinel is a metaphor for cartoons herself. This isn't, I might as well say, I will get to the problem here in a second. This is actually something I really like, is that Spinel, like herself, is a metaphor for a cartoon. Rose grew up, and when she grew up, she decided she was too mature for cartoons, so she just leaves the cartoons behind. But Steven is, right, he's the hope punk generation. He realizes that you're never too old for cartoons, and that's why he's, well, because he's Steven, he's openly willing to accept Spinel back into her life, but because Spinel is cartoons, it's kind of like saying, hey, you're never too old to enjoy cartoons. At least that's the way I like to interpret this metaphor. At least that's how I totally think you can view it. Part of me also wonders if it's kind of doing, like the thing that the recent Rocko's Modern Life movie did, where it's kind of like a metaphor for, right, you grow up, and do the cartoons grow up with you? Are there things you can go back and not notice? God, just parallels to the second Lego movie here. Is this all about death of imagination in a youth, where Spinel, by being left home, she's had to, like, grow up and become more mature and become that gritty sort of thing just to get Rose Quartz's attention back. Of course, I did have one more idea that it's like Spinel is supposed to be like a parallel towards Steven. She's someone who was, right, they were both affected by Rose Quartz leaving them, but whereas Steven became Steven, Spinel became, right, she grew dark, she became twisted and angry and bitter at everything that happened to her. And this one doesn't hold up as much, but I do think it's interesting because it does feel like we're one moment away from doing the Killing Joke thing of like one bad day can like destroy you. Like it feels like we're one moment away from her doing that, where like after resetting the gyms, she would try to like turn them evil, and like one bad day or one wrong thing could easily make somebody evil. They don't do that, but even if they did, by the end, Steven would have proven her wrong with his whole change your mind and how people can change, and hey, it's not always like that. But my strings are very tenuous there, but it's just something to think about. So I've said before in the past that all villains can be redeemed. I still stand by that. I kind of wanted Spinel to die. I know that seems harsh, and I'm glad they didn't do it, but I kind of also wanted it. The idea, right, going back to that stupid metaphor for like cartoons thing, I kind of wanted them to say like, hey, no, it can't always be glitters and gold and all that jazz. It's more complicated than that. And especially after, see, a hero falling it's a hard thing to do, right? Getting a hero to like reform from falling usually only ends with death. Think Darth Vader. Darth Vader is a fallen hero who gets redeemed by killing the Emperor, but he also has to die. So maybe it's just because of those like preconceived notions that I wanted Spinel to die. Oh god, it feels really harsh saying it. But that was honestly a direction I thought they were going to go for a while. Yeah, but of course the show would have never actually done that because of, like I said, the hope punk aesthetic. But it's still, I don't know, I just kind of wanted it. Or even like, not like they kill her, because that's dark. I wanted more along the lines of Black Panther. You know, at the end of Black Panther, when he sees the Wakandan sunset and they're like, hey, we can save you. And he's like, no, rather die than be in bondage. I kind of wanted something like that where maybe she's cracking and Steven's like, we can save you. And she's like, no. That would have been all the more tragic. Or even something like Mina Loveberry, spoilers for the end of Star, for the Star vs. the Forces of Evil's series finale, where at the very end, Mina Loveberry doesn't get redeemed. She still hates monsters, and she just kind of slinks off into the forest. Maybe I wanted something like that, where Spinel still, like, she's not fully recovered, and she just kind of slinks away, trying to, like, find herself. Is she going to be a villain? Is she going to be a hero? Who knows? Of course, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because I have Black Panther and Star vs. the Forces of Evil that already do those things, so technically I don't need Steven to do those things, and what Steven did here was already good, so I don't even know why I'm complaining. Those are my weird complaints, but that's just the way it goes. And then I feel like to end off, I feel like I already kind of talked about the songs. The songs, some of them I really like, some of them are okay. Some of them I know will grow on me. It's only a matter of time, but at the end of the day, the movie was so good. I enjoyed it. It's everything I wanted. I loved it. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought. Did you get what you wanted from it? Was Spinel as great as you expected? I'm gonna be honest, just based on like a poster, I didn't have much hopes for her. Like, it was how do you top the like head of Homeworld and all that? How do you top White Diamond? And they did that. Spinel, maybe it's just because, again, crunched 8 episodes to build White Diamond. Even though they had less time for Spinel, I'd argue they did it all the better. But yeah, I loved it. I loved it. This is such a great movie. And I'm, like I said at the beginning, I don't know if we need another season. It's cool that we're doing it. But we got our ending. We've redeemed the diamonds at the end of season 5. And the end of season 5, it feels like a series finale. It really does. And you know the old adage, what is it, 6 seasons in a movie? Well, 5 seasons in a movie isn't bad either. It really isn't. And this is exactly what I wanted. That one little happily ever after moment, seeing our characters a few years later down the line. And then, yeah, the one other thing is, for the next season, you know what I want? I want the villain to be created by Steven. We've had all these villains who are the result of Rose Quartz and all the horrible things she did. I kind of want a villain who's Steven's fault, who is created by Steven in some way. I know that seems kind of weird, but it's something I want. It's something the show hasn't done yet, and I think that's an interesting dynamic that, everything is a result of Rose and living with Rose's fuck-ups. So I'd like to see something that results Steven. But hey, these are just my thoughts. Again, the movie was great. God, I loved it. And I'm now gonna go listen to the soundtrack a bunch of times until eventually I hopefully love it. I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.